So well, we're on the shooting range. I'm gonna sight in the guns this morning. Then after that we're gonna head out. Obviously just whatever presents itself is gonna be on the list. But we are looking for kudu this morning and hopefully a very nice big black giraffe. Yeah.
I guess what's so special about Africa to me is you really, you never know what you're gonna see around the next corner as far as the animals. I'm a big hunter, and there's just so many different species of animals. It's just a slow pace, a way of life, and everybody that I've met here has been extremely nice, and you don't just get that everywhere.
It's a beautiful sight, really. It's a lot different than back home in Kentucky. Completely different scenery than what I'm used to hunting in. It's like, wow, it's just a dream, really, to be able to come to Africa and experience what it really is. Well, the first morning here, we wake up and Romano says, let's go kudu hunting. It's like, all right, because that was on my bucket list. So we head out, and probably an hour in, we spot a proper kudu, and me and Romano just go after it and tackle it. And it's a big old animal. I'm used to hunting white-tailed deer back home, and just to have something that size in your scope, it's like, wow, what a dream.
That first shot, as you saw as well, that picked up, so it looked like that was a good frontal shot.
It ran about 20 yards and just stood there, but Romano said I made a good shoulder shot because of the way he bucked up when I shot it, but I went ahead and made one more final shot to put him down. Well, I was not expecting the bases to be like so thick on it, and then the horns were 40 inches plus, just wrapped around in curls. It was a beautiful animal, and the size of the body, it was unreal.
Slash for the greater good.
It's a beautiful bull.
Started the hunt off with a giraffe, and we have kind of a history with that giraffe. We was wanting to get the giraffe last year in 23 when I come down here and hunted, and we had talked about it with Romano and Miss Burdine, and then kind of was in all of our conversations. But that giraffe was really special, and we rode around and we walked, zigzagged up and down through the brush, and we finally spotted it, and the first thing that went through my mind was just wow. And you see a lot of giraffes across the country, but seeing a black giraffe like that for me is very, something that doesn't happen every day. And it's finally, 150 yards facing me, and kind of, worried about shot placement and making sure I don't mess up. And he come out of the bushes, and then Hanu told me to take the shot. Well, then by the time he told me to take the shot, another smaller giraffe come and kind of blocked the shot. Not kind of, it did block the shot. And I was kind of like, crap, all this time and effort for this opportunity, and here this other giraffe standing in the way. And we tried to move angles, but then there was brush and bushes in the way, so we couldn't get it happen. But Hanu, my PH, told me to take the shot. I took the shot. It was a good hit. Then I shot again, and it was another good hit. And then I shot again and missed. And then we thought we heard it go down, but we went around the corner, and then the cameraman said that he seen it, and we looked to our right and he was standing there. So I shot 2 more times, and both were good hits, and he went about 100 yards, and that's where he took a nap forever.
I felt very good about the shot. It was facing straight on, and put it right where the PH told me to. I feel confident it was a good shot.
Do you think it's not?
I believe so. I can't believe how tough those things are.
Just a lot of people, don't realize how big those things are. You see them from, a distance, and you think, well, it's kind of a big animal because he's got a huge long neck and they stand so tall. But just the head on the giraffe, it was everything that I could do to even hold it up. And his feet, you pick his legs up, and it just felt like they weighed a couple 100 pounds. This has been a dream of mine for some time. As a kid growing up, watching the hunting channel and watching Jim Shockey, and when you see Africa and think about Africa, the first thing that comes to my mind is a giraffe. And it's been a long time dream, and we had an encounter with this same giraffe a year ago, and we couldn't make it happen, but we finally made it happen. Well, we had seen the saddleback impala previously in the week, and I was telling Romano that I would like to be able to hunt it. He was kind of weaving in and out of the thickets, and we finally lined up on him and made it happen.
Yeah, left. It's behind the tree.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yep. There you go.
Go!
It is a beautiful animal. That thing is, has the dark patches, has on its face, and it's, a whole lot darker than the regular impala. And the markings on the face and the markings on its back and on his feet, down his legs. I think that it's a whole lot prettier of an animal, if that makes sense.
That's awesome. That thing's a stud.
I came to Africa, I got hooked up with RDB safaris for my 2-week hunt out here. And it was every day. There was just whatever we wanted, they asked us if we needed anything. Just a 5 out of 5. I contemplated back and forth back home whether I wanted to shoot one or not, but when I finally got here and had him in my binoculars, I was like, wow, I think I need to do that, because you don't find an animal like that back home in the States. And we started stalking there was a herd of about 4. They just kept moving along, and we got to the road and spotted them it was about 276 yards down there, and 2 of them were left in the road. So I had them in the scope, but they kept just facing me and interchanging and just staying real close. They knew what they was doing, so they finally just moseyed off into the woods, and we kept stalking. And I had about a 40-yard shot on one, but I forgot my scope was zoomed all the way into 20, so my chance got missed there again. I missed my chance that last time. We just kept walking, stalking, just couldn't really find no sight of him, so we just headed back to the truck and figured we'd ride around a little bit longer to see if we could see any evidence of where they might be. And about an hour later, we finally seen about 4 of them, and they was all broadside. So I just, at that moment, it was just take my pick and see which one I wanted to harvest. I'm very happy I waited, because I wasn't comfortable enough with that shot, just being how the animals are, just being that close together at something like that. I'd much rather have a broadside shot on a trophy like that.
Thank you.
Good shooting. Good shooting.
That was a lot more comfortable shot.
Yeah, because he was much more steady from up there.
No regrets at all. I mean, you never know when you might have another chance to come back to Africa, so figured I'd make it worth it while I was here. I mean, just the scenery and the animals that are out here it's just nothing you're going to experience back in the States. So it's just a complete different scenery of stuff you might never experience unless you come to Africa. There's a wide variety of animals here. I mean, back home we just have a select few of animals we have during hunting season, but here, I mean, you got hundreds of animals to pick from of what you would like to harvest. Memories that'll last a lifetime. I mean, I came with a good buddy of mine. Got to watch him harvest animals he wanted to kill on his bucket list, and he watched me do the same. And it's just, I mean, memories made.
As a kid, I literally was glued to the TV, Sunday mornings before church and watching the Outdoor Channel, and just seeing all the different people, especially like Jim Shockey. I mentioned his name before, traveling all over the world hunting. And that was something that I watched as a kid, him shoot a Cape buffalo. And I really didn't think it was ever, a possibility, just a country kid from Western Kentucky. And you think about Africa, well, holy cow, that's, a whole different world, literally. And I thought that was something that I would never be able to do. It was just, that was my lifelong dream of an animal to be able to harvest.
Pretty nervous. That's a freaking big. He's huge. It's a big Cape buffalo.
So with the Cape buffalo, it being so dangerous, that you never really know what's going through its mind, and it can just turn on you in the snap of a finger. And that's what. As soon as we seen the buffalo, my chest started like pounding, and I thought that I don't know if he's going to come after me, if he's going to go the other way. I didn't know what was going to happen, and I just wanted to make sure 100% that I put a good shot on him at the first, and walked, I don't know, maybe 100, 150 yards, give or take. Well, about the time he told me to take the shot, this buffalo turned and spun, and then my heart really started racing, because I didn't know, I just knew at that given moment he was coming after us, or I fired the first shot, and my mind was racing. And so as fast as I could, I put another bullet in the gun, shot him again, and then shot him again, and then he collapsed. And it really went through my mind, because we were shooting, a 375, and he took the bullets like a champ. And but luckily he went down and didn't come after us. But at that given point, I couldn't stop shaking. My hands were shaking. It was really probably the most thrilling experience that I've ever experienced in the hunting field.
Words can't explain how I'm feeling.
This is amazing.
Just ecstatic. Whenever you think about Africa, I mean, obviously you think about the Big Five, and the first thing that, comes to your mind is the Cape Buffalo. And we walk up on the Cape Buffalo and you just see it laying there, and his horns are out past his body, and this isn't a small animal, it's a huge animal. And it was just put in perspective, I can see how these things, can cause so much damage, and it was just breathtaking. But and then after we harvested it, and the team come and loaded everything up in the backhoe, and I just was like, wow, the adrenaline was still pumping, and I didn't know how I was going to sleep at night. I even talked to Romano and said, can we go ahead and get this thing expedited so I can bring it back to the States and put it on the wall?
This is one heck of a trip. If you've never experienced it, you're missing out.
Buddy. Good lads. You happy?
Beyond.
I almost
beyond.
kissed you. Almost kissed you.
Don't do that.
No.
Thank you very much.
Big pleasure, man. I know you want it, and
All my life.
This is the one you wanted.
All my life I wanted to be able to do it.
It's a special trophy, man. It's wide, it's big, it's fucking, it's just amazing. Well done.
Thank you.
We left Limpopo and headed to the Freestate, which is totally different. It's kind of like a new world. I was used to being hunting in Limpopo, and we get to the Freestate and everything is just wide open, and it's totally different playing field. You can see a long ways, shoot a long ways. There's a lot more that, the landscape is, there's a few mountains, but it's pretty much wide open, where Limpopo is, thicker and thickets and real brushy. The lechwe we hunted first. I really didn't know what I was getting myself into, because, you see pictures of a lechwe, in my mind anyways, you see pictures of a lechwe, you see pictures of impala, and they look, kind of similar, especially, on the internet. But once you see them in real life, it's a whole different ball game. You're talking about an animal that's probably 3 times the size, and it's just a beautiful animal. There was 7 or 8 lechwe. We was glassing them, and Romano told me, here's the one. This is a giant one. And I looked at it and I agreed with him. So we took the shot. At this moment, I was still thinking, it's about the same size as an impala maybe. And then I walk up on it and my mind was just blown. It was huge. I don't want to take nothing away from impala, but a lechwe is by far beautiful. And it's, in my mind, that was probably one of my favorite plains game I've ever shot.
Well, thank you.
We're looking for a fallow deer. It's been on my list for a long, long time. Back home, we shoot white-tailed deer, and just the fallow deer is part of the deer family, and just I love the horns on them. We were just driving, we dropped through the creek, headed around the mountain, and to the left of us, we looked up the mountain, and there was a beautiful white fallow deer just standing up in the horizon. It's probably 125 yards up the mountain. Well, I had him at broadside, then he got behind a bush, and he was probably quartering away broadside up the mountain when I shot him. He dropped right in his tracks.
That is a giant of a fallow deer. The time I seen it in the binoculars, I was like, got that kicker on the side. It's very nice.
Got down, started up the mountain, and then it probably took us a good 15 solid minutes to get up this mountain to where he was laying at. And I mean, once I got there, it was like, wow. So where he laid is where we took the pictures, because I mean, it's not every day you get to shoot a fallow deer up the side of a mountain and hike up and have to retrieve your harvest. So we was like, that'd make for a beautiful picture up on the side of this mountain view. I'm very happy with it. It's just, that's been a dream of mine to kill one for a long, long time. And back home in the States, I mean, there is none because of our climate and stuff. They can't handle our winters. Because, I mean, probably in the 1990s, they introduced them to the LBL area where I'm from, and they couldn't make it because of how harsh our winters were. So the chance of me killing one back home is 0.
I wanted to do the springbuck, and that was South Africa's national animal, so that was very special to me. And I really didn't, we didn't really get close enough to see kind of exactly what they were. Or I mean, you could see them through the scope, but we didn't get the chance to see them up close. And walking up to it, I got to see, how it had the white hair sticking up on top of its back, and just a very beautiful animal.
Well done, buddy.
Well, it's a pretty far shot. Shot him just a hair over 300 yards. And you really think they're a lot bigger than what they are in the scope. But it's a beautiful animal.
So I've had a mount ideal in my mind, and I had the white fallow deer on the ground, and the dark fallow deer just was constantly in the back of my mind. He was eating out of a bush, just sitting there. His horns were in the bush, just eating, and we stopped just to kind of take a look, see what he was, and he kind of stepped to the right with his horns out. When I seen that kicker on him, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to harvest him. Just stops again for the final shot. He was pretty well looking away from me, just quarter turned toward me just a tad, and I just put the scope right behind his shoulder and I pulled the trigger, because I mean, it's not every day you see a fallow deer with a kicker like that on the side of him.
He's a beautiful animal. I really wanted one that was a dark colored one.
It was kind of in the back of my mind, I've seen, hunting with Romano and Limpopo, I've seen the blue wildebeest and the golden wildebeest, and the king's wildebeest, but I've never seen the black wildebeest. And he said they didn't thrive really that well in that area, but in the Freestate they do. That's where they prefer. And we was, driving through I guess it really wasn't mountains, but the hills, and then we opened up in the plains and we could see for miles. And the first thing we seen was the black wildebeest. And then I was kind of, toying with it in my mind a little bit about wanting to shoot one, but kind of on the fence. And then when I seen them and had the rifle in my hands, there was no question then. In my opinion, I like the black wildebeest the best out of all the wildebeest. Just how their horns come in front of their head and almost makes kind of looks like a gun rack kind of. And they had the big bosses on their head. I'm glad that I decided to harvest one.
Well, good luck. Look at that shit. Holy shit.
The big animal. a big animal. Now, really, I want to shoot those. Like, really, I was like the whole time looking back and forth and like this is deciding for us both which one to shoot.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think a good time would be the right answer for the time I've had in South Africa. It's been phenomenal. The food, the fellowship, and the hunting. Everything is just phenomenal here.
We're just riding around the open fields, and we're probably about 350 yards away, and we spot a herd of about 7 or 8 oryxes. So I get the gun up, start looking through the scope, trying to pick out which one I might want to harvest, and there's a bunch laying down in front of them. So at that moment, I couldn't take the shot on the one I was wanting, so we just waited. And then we got about 240 yards away from them, and I got the one I wanted back in the scope and took my shot.
Well,
it's a beautiful animal. I love the color scheme of it. The face is just beautiful. I'm feeling pumped up just to know that the 5 animals I've come to Africa to hunt, I just laid the last one down, and it took several days to do it, because back at Romano's I hunted 4 days for an oryx and never got the opportunity at one, and just to know that I've finally laid one down, it's like, wow.
Ever since I harvested a sable and fell in love with a sable back in 23, I mentioned it to Romano about a roan. I had a million things running through my head about, always wanting to shoot a roan, and then one standing there about 200 yards. And he told me where to shoot, and I pulled the trigger, and once we got up to the roan, I was thinking in my mind that it was going to be about like a sable, body-wise, and boy, was I wrong. It was probably twice the size of a sable. They're huge. And then come to find out, they have the longest ears of all of the antelope, which that was a fun fact, and second heaviest antelope next to the eland.
Ecstatic. This is a beautiful animal. Ever since I come to South Africa last year and got to see all the plains game, all the dangerous game, and doing research and seeing the roan, I just fell in love with the roan, and it's always been the dream of mine to be able to hunt one. And today, Romano and RDB Safaris made it happen. They're a giant, man. It's everything I thought it would be. He's huge.
I had a wonderful time here. I had 2 PHs, Romano and Hanu. We had the cameraman filming hunts as we were going along each day. And then Robert, he drove us around and guided us different areas. And then it was a wonderful trip. The hospitality of the people, you're always welcomed. From day one, you build a friendship with them. It's just not like they're here for you to hunt. They sit there and they build a friendship with you all day long as you're hunting. It's just a wonderful hospitality here.
Pile of memories. It's just everything you see from, the way of life of the people here is very different than back home. The way they do things, as far as, the roads and the way they drive on the wrong side of the road, and their steering wheel is literally on the right-hand side. It's just, everything they do here is, totally different than home in a good way, but it's a breathtaking experience that everybody needs to experience at least once. And I guarantee you, if they experience it once, they'll experience it at least twice.